My name still remains Dr. Solomon Benjamin Adekunle. I'm facilitating for Center for Distance Learning and Quality Education University of Abuja, and the course of study still remains Introduction to International Relations POP 213, and this is the study section 2. And this study section 2, the concept and scope of international relations is still what we are going to look into. And the learning outcome for this study section is, when you have studied these sections, you should be able to, 1, give brief history of international relations, describe the scope of international relations, explain the levels of analysis in international relations, and discuss theories of international relations. Introduction. In these study sections, we will be exposing you to the concept of international relations. Essentially, our discussion will focus on the many basic concepts, scopes, and level of analysis in international relations. Then start with history of international relations. In the writing of Palmers and Perkins, 2004, historical origin of modern international relations is traceable to the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648, which established the principle of sovereignty as the foundation for relations among states. Up to the late 19th century, scholars have not explored the areas of international relations as what is obtainable in the contemporary era. Although there were studies on relevant areas such as war, diplomacy, alignment, international trade, but the scientific study of this area mentioned was disconnected and relied on different disciplinary aspects and methodologies. International relations, as it relates with other disciplines, has been under study for quite a long time. This is manifest in the works of the following philosophers and thinkers: Thucydides, Diplomatic History, 420 to 411 DC; Sun Tzu's Military Strategy, 6th century BC; Hugo Grotius, International Law, 16th century; Francois de Cailleries, Diplomacy, 17th centuries; Niccolo Machiavelli, Thomas Hobbes, and Clausewitz are among other scholars that have submitted a lot of literatures concerning the issue of international relations. So international relations begins to gain prominence, especially after the Second World War, where efforts were made in the United States and Western Europe to initiate a distinct course of study. It emerged in an era of struggle to provide a more substantial approach to the study of social science. In this era, many approaches began to emanate to explain different areas of international relations. International relations received its modern foundations from the teaching of the Greatest War, that is 1914 to 1945. With the end of the World War II, universities in the United States invented scientific methodologies such as behaviorist approaches, which made the study of political science and international relations more critical, stressing the human rather than the institutional actors. Scope of international relations. The scope of international relations is wide and complex. Some of the areas that make up the scope of international relations are the area of geography, that is the political geography; military strategy; law, that is international law; international political economy; history, that is diplomatic history. The levels of analysis in international relations. Individual levels of analysis. This level holds that moral principles of individuals affect states and governments. The political behavior and principles of George Bush, Alfred Helter, and Woodrow Wilson, for instance, affected their own state either positively or negatively or otherwise. The state level. International relations can be explained and analyzed with the context state level. From this context, we mean the nature of the state, democratic or undemocratic, the level of economic growth, skilled and unskilled labor, political culture, and many more variables that align with the state. Such variables are sometimes called the internal factors that determines the foreign policy, diplomacy, or international relations of a state. It also determines its national interest, foreign policy, how it sees other states, and how other states sees it. 3. Systematic level. The systematic level of analysis visualizes international relations from the angles of the international system, affecting national politics and influencing the decisions of states. The systematic level is more realistic in nature as it holds the realistic ideas of international relations, noting that it is the nature of the international system that determines how states react to international happenings. For example, having the anarchist natures of the system makes states with no option other than to strengthen their entities against uncertainties and external aggressions. This also motivates balance of power within the international system. Theories in international relations. We have realism as one of the theories. Realism is an international relations theory that exclusively deals with power relations. It sees the world having a community of states, but without a single enforcer of law. This describes the whole system as anarchy. That is 1996. Realists also believe that the world is a harsh and dangerous place. The only certainty in the world is power. A powerful state will always be able to outdo and outlast weaker competitors. The most important and reliable form of power is military power. A state's primary interest is self-preservation. The second thing, the state must seek power and must always protect itself. There is no overreaching power that can enforce global rules or punish bad behavior. Moral behavior is very risky because it can undermine a state's ability to protect itself. The international system itself drives states to use military force and to war. Leaders may be moral, but they must not let moral concerns guide foreign policy. It is on the basis of this theory that most political situations of international relations lies. Prominent among the exponents of realism are Hans J. Morgenthau, Thomas Hobbes, Niccolo Machiavelli, among others. Another theory is liberalism. The liberalist theory, on the contrary, advocates for cooperations among states, which will produce peace and security despite the anarchist natures of the global system. Liberalism is also characterized by the following assumptions. The international system is anarchic and dangerous, but the consequences of military power often outweigh the benefits. International relation is in the interest of every state in the international system. Military power is in existence with economic and social power. Where economic power has proven more effective than the exercise of military power. 4. It is obvious that different states often have different primary interests. 5. It is believable that international rules and organizations can help foster cooperation, trust, and prosperity. Liberalism shows how states accept bilateralism, multilateralisms, and intercontinentalisms, and integrations in global system. Idealism. Idealism is an offshoot of the liberalist project, which provides the need for states to pursue moral goals and to act ethically in the international arena. Within the context of international relations, the idealist believes that behaviors considered immoral on an interpersonal level is also immoral in foreign policy. They therefore believe that violence should be shown and avoided in international relations. Idealism in the United States has usually been associated with democratic parties since World War I. It is patent to note that Woodrow Wilson has tried to maintain world peace and security by building the League of nations as an institution that is liberal in nature to support the liberalist project. The summary. You also look at the level of analysis international relations, scope of international relations, history of international relations, and theories of international relations. Self-assessment question here. One is to identify the variables that make up the scope of international relations. Two, to briefly discuss the dominant theories of international relations. Thank you.